Welcome to 30 Minutes to Change Your Life. Today we are going to talk about how to get from being in that place of depression and desperation to on the other side where you have an opportunity to thrive. Because the fact of the matter is, loss happens. Things happen to many of us on many different occasions, and we all know that to be the case. But here's the key. You don't have to stay right there. You definitely can get to the place where you feel empowered and you feel like you can make a difference for not just yourself, but for the world around you. Walk with me for a little bit as we reflect back on the talk from the other day. You remember that comfortable bed? Maybe not. Let me refresh your memory a bit. So think about a really amazing, comfortable bed, right? Maybe you have one in your room. It's soft and warm. The comforter called your name before you could even pull it off the shelf. The microfiber sheets that just kind of snuggle you in where you feel safe, like you can't even let it go. And the pillow just nestles your head in the very perfect spot that you don't even want to get up in the morning. Maybe you have that bed. I have one, and I absolutely love it. You know, that bed can be the place that can either keep you safe or it can keep you at a point where you don't want to move ever. That could be good or bad. I'm going to tell you a little story. Now, many of you grew up in different areas. I grew up thinking I was a princess, right? My dad treated me exactly like a princess. I don't have that story that maybe some of you have where things were rough and you really didn't know where to turn. I had the life of a princess, in my mind anyway. I grew up on Chicago's West Side. And for me, it was the place where I had all my friends. Everybody knew me. It was fun all the time. I absolutely loved being at home and being on this block. If any of you out there are from Chicago and you know the West Side, I grew up on Polk and Pulaski, so that might tell you a little something. Like I said, to me, it was the best place ever. But when you see it on television, it looks a little different. Most of the time you see the crime and the violence and the activities that maybe you don't really want to be associated with. But hey, that's where I was. And that's all that mattered to me. Before we get to this end of this talk, I'm saying to you right now, you don't have to be a product of your environment. I can remember one day being outside, there was a block party, and in the summertime, there's always a block party going. So much fun. We're jumping rope, there's snow cones flowing, there's all kind of activity, all kinds of games, people are everywhere. Just having a great time, lots of music, just an amazing time. Really, to be a kid in the summer, any time was amazing. But for me, this was the best day ever. You know, I can remember us starting our next game. We hear the sirens out on the main street, and they're blaring, but we're not thinking very much of it because that happens all the time. Then I saw a man running towards me. He was running pretty fast too, so we didn't really know what to think of it until we saw somebody chasing him. And then we heard gunshots. Everybody scattered. And before I could get to the top of the porch where my mom was standing, this same young man that was running towards us was stumbling up my steps. And he died right there. Right in front of my face. I looked at my mom. I looked at this young man. I saw him take his last breath. By then, my dad was running to the door. He looked down at me. I looked up at him. There were no tears flowing from my eyes. I was just in disbelief that this could happen. This happened at my block party. This happened in the place that I thought was the princess spot. How did this happen? At that very moment, even as young as I was, I knew I didn't want to be that young man. I knew I didn't want to be laying on someone's porch where some young boy or some young girl could see me taking my last breath. Oddly enough, my dad saw that in my eyes too. And it was if he said to himself, this girl is going to her own personal leadership training program. If I have anything to do with it, she will not be that person. He took that responsibility on because that was the kind of leader that he was. My dad did not play, and neither did my mom, really. If you've got Southern parents, you know exactly what I mean when I say that. It was, I'm calling your name one time, and you need to be there, and if I got to call you twice, that's a problem. It's going to be trouble. I might have been in trouble a few times. Have you? Oddly enough, when it comes to trouble, and this is such a sidebar, but it's a great story. I can remember being outside, again, in my princess zone, but I was also kind of a tomboy. She didn't tell me that I could go outside. I just kind of took it upon myself to do that. So she comes out to call my name. I already knew I was not going to be happy once I got to her. But she found me lodged in between two buildings where, for some reason, I thought it was a great idea to climb up.
Scale the wall.
Scale the wall, yeah, with nothing underneath. So not only did she have to come and save me, she had to find me. So you know what happened after that. But I'm still here.
Hello.
My point to that is I had parents that wanted to give me more. I had people in my life that knew there was something else that could be done just because of the experience that we had with that young man laying on the ground. They kept me safe. So why am I up here? Why am I talking to you right now? What could you possibly learn from me right now? See, when it comes to leadership and leaders and talking about my dad, he was the epitome of what Tom Peters said. Leaders don't create followers. They create more leaders. And that's exactly what he did. He worked really hard. Now, in my eyes, I thought this man had all the money in the world. We ate filet mignon on a Tuesday. We went to Disney World every single year for 10 years. I went to formal dinners. I was always dressed in really great clothes too. Every single day I was in a dress. And as a little girl, that was a tomboy. That didn't really go too well, but I had them on. Now I loved it. Hopefully I look okay to you right now. But every single day, that's what my life looked like. He worked so hard. He got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Got home at 3 p.m. He never was late. I know this because I had to be home at 3:15, and he was always there. The thing that I remember most is he always took some time to himself as soon as I got home. Remember that big comfortable bed that I talked about at the beginning? He always took time to rest before it was time to take the next step. Because he said that was the point where you find yourself being able to refresh, refocus, so you can make your next move. That's what that bed represented. So as I continued along my journey being the princess, right? And then as I got older and realized, wow, all the stuff that he had me doing was preparing me for what was to come. You see, filet mignon on a Tuesday wasn't really just having steak on a plate. It was showing me that I could be exposed to having anything that I wanted whenever I got ready. No matter if it looks very high end or not. Filet on a Tuesday meant I can make crab legs on a Wednesday at this age. Trips to Disney World? Who does that? What Chicago, West Side, anybody does that every year for 10 years? I gained so many connections being a child and the exposure to be with people from all nationalities, all races. I just played with them. Had no idea at this age that those connections would help me understand what I needed to know when I ran into people that didn't necessarily look like me. Formal dinners, any meeting, any workshop, anything that he did while I was there. Here I am dressed up as a little girl sitting in the front row, listening, excited. I fell asleep a couple of times. I'm not going to lie. I did. But it showed me what I needed to do when I got ready to get in front of somebody to speak. Every single thing he did was an example for me to do something different and something more. And now I'm realizing it. What does any of this mean though, right? So here I am talking to you, talking about this great man that I call my dad because I thought he was an absolute amazing person. But I'm talking to you because life happens. And life happens to every single one of us. 2017 was a real rough year for me. And I share this story with you because maybe, just maybe, you've had some times that you really didn't know what to do with it. You didn't know how to feel. You didn't know how to act. You had no idea how to get to the other side. In 2017, I could go through every single loss possible that you could think of, and it probably happened to me, right? I had this great job, 150K plus. It was awesome. I loved it. They laid me off. Had nothing. Had this amazing house, 3,000 square foot plus, amazing, gone. 17-year marriage. My goodness, who would have ever thought I'd be divorced after 17 years? Mm-hmm. On top of that, I started opening up a business, an actual brick and mortar business. And if any of you are out there in Tinley Park, definitely make sure you see Girl Boss over at Breathe Fitness. I started that process in 2017 too. Failure after failure. Nope, you can't open yet. It's not time yet. Nope, you need some more money to do this. Just constant hits. And then my dad passed to top it all off. So a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things going on in 1 year that really could take anybody out. Right? One of those things could take somebody out. Now I got to deal with all 5 at one time. No husband, no house, no job. I'm giving out more money than I'm taking in. And now my dad is gone. So here's the thing. There's steps that I had to take in order to stand right here at this moment. It wasn't all fun and fantastic, right? There's no possible way it could be. But there are ways to heal. There are ways to do things that can make your heart happy again so you can get to the other side and thrive and do more. Because that's the key. We're not here for ourselves. And as leaders, we've got to create more leaders. That's what he always told me. So what does that mean? Well, let me just back up a second because I think it's important to know that I did lay in that bed, the same bed that I passed by so many times throughout the years because I really wasn't resting much. I was so busy being busy that I never had the opportunity to enjoy my comfortable bed until all the stuff happened. I laid there, I looked up, I fell asleep. I didn't want to do anything. It was depressing, really. It was an absolute rough moment, and I don't even know how to explain it fully except to tell you that it happened. Even if it's happening to you right now, what I want you to know is that it's okay. It's okay to feel those things. It's okay to feel the anger. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to not even understand what's going on. It's okay. What's not okay is that you leave your purpose unattended. That part, I can't let you slide with. So how do you get there, Yolanda, right? What is it that you did to get from I'm laying here to I'm riding towards my destiny? Couple things. One, lay there. Rest. Do that. Take the opportunity, like Dad told me, to refresh, recharge, so you can then have a better output later on. Lay there. It's okay. Because when the time is right, you're going to get up and you're going to find some fabulous creative energy flowing. Trust me on it. So that's the first thing. You owned it. Those are your feelings. You own that and be okay with it. Second thing, whenever you get a chance to get up, the very next time you get out the bed, because you've been laying there forever, but the next time you lay there and you say, all right, I'm going to get up and do something, I want you to do this. Write down what you're feeling. That's the second step. So now you've owned the feelings. Now I want you to write down those feelings, because that's the important part. It's one thing to have it up here. It's another thing to see it on paper. You know what they are, and now we can do something with that. Now that you've written them down, I want you to start calling them out. Call those feelings out. Say what it is. If you have to cry, cry. If you have to just be silent and hum, hum. Whatever that means, make sure you have it written down. You've owned it. You've written it down. Third thing, I want you to reflect back on a time that you had a struggle. Something that you thought you were never, ever going to get past. I'll give you an example. My daughter is 26. I was 16 when I had her. Boy, what am I going to do? Was the only thing that I could think of at 16 with the little baby. What am I going to do? How's this going to work? That was a struggle for that particular time for me. But then, as she started to grow up, and we went to school together, because pretty much we did, I found ways to not only make myself happy, but I made her happy, and she is a great person too. That's the other side. So now you take that struggle, and you think about what happened on the other side, and you start to celebrate that, right? If you didn't celebrate it before, I definitely want you to celebrate it now. Now is that time. You had the opportunity to just stay stuck, but you didn't. You started to thrive even through that struggle. So take some time and just celebrate it. Be that person that celebrated getting to the other side in that struggle from before. So think about it. Now, we've owned the feelings. We've written them down, right? We've called them out. Now we remember what happened before. And we celebrated that. Now think about what's going on right now. Number 4. It's rough, right? My story, all this stuff happening in 2017 was rough. But in my mind, after I got to the point of realizing I didn't have to stay there, I started to celebrate what was on the way even before it got here. Because there's the key. You were able to get past something else before. Now you can get past this, but you got to prepare for it now. Best quote ever. Preparation meets opportunity. This is the opportunity right now for you to make a difference in your own life if you take the time to celebrate it before it gets here. There is no choice. You will make it if you want to, but you gotta want it. You got to want it. You gotta want it so much that as soon as your feet hit the floor, you start to remember all of the ways you got past that situation from before and apply it right now. It can be done. But you got to want it in here, and you got to know where your purpose is and where you're going so you know why you need to get there. So let's recap. We've owned it. We've laid there, right? We've owned the feelings. We've written them down. We've called it out. What else have we done? We found the struggle from before and celebrated it. And now we're taking that same celebration and we're applying it to this right now problem. Do you see where that winning strategy can take you? Because on the other side is thriving, but it also is happiness. It's also the opportunity for you to shine. It's also the opportunity for you to have more positivity coming into your heart, into your mind, because it's mind, body, and soul. If you do that, guaranteed you are going to make a difference. Again, not just in your life, but the lives around you. So now you're thriving because you're celebrating before it gets there. You know, I can remember being at the services and thinking to myself, wow, all these people are here just to see him. He's my dad. But you know what? He was a leader that created more leaders. And they also had purpose. They also had to do the same thing I did. They had to own those feelings. They had to call them out and write them down. They had to celebrate the win so they can get through this particular valley for them. That was so exciting for me. It showed me so much. It also showed me that even through building this business that I'm doing right now, that I had everything that I needed in order to be successful. So there was no point in me laying in that comfortable bed anymore. Not to be depressed, but it definitely was there for me to rest, recharge, and really refuel myself so that creativity can flow. Everything you need is already inside you. If you tap into it, if you tap into the lessons that you've learned, tap into all of the things that you've accomplished from before, and start to apply it now, there's no way you can lose. Guaranteed. This is 30 Minutes to Change Your Life. My name is Yoli Cox with your Let It Out Minute for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to connecting with you. Find me on Facebook at Yoli Cox, on Instagram at Yoli Cox also. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Good morning. It's still morning, right? Good morning, everybody. Yes. Come on in, Andrea. My name is Laura Roan, and I'm going to talk to you today about estate, retirement, and financial planning. I'm going to try to make it interesting because I love it. But some of this is a little bit, I could say, how do you say, intimidating. A lot of people are kind of intimidated about estate planning and financial planning, we're not really accustomed to it. It may not have been something we grew up in. So my goal today is to get you guys comfortable in knowing it's not a big deal. It's something we can do. It's something we should do. It's something if our parents knew about it, they probably would have done it. But with today and how we have come along in our finances in this country, estate planning, retirement planning, they're becoming more of a household word. Financial planning, they're becoming more of a household word. So people are not so intimidated by it anymore. So let me tell you a little bit about me. Again, my name is Laura Roan. I have been in insurance and protection and financial services for the past 22 years. Now, everybody knows I'm just 22, so I understand if you feel that way. But I had 22 years experience in all types of protection, so I've done it all. And what I found is that the estate planning, financial, retirement, that's my niche. That's what I like. I like to sit at the kitchen table with people and hash out plans and make sure you got the proper coverage because I care. I'm not going to be someone that is not going to be honest. I tell the truth because I like to go home and sleep at night. I'm not interested in just telling you what you want to hear. I'm very much interested in letting you know where you are and where you can come to because where we start off is not where we end. All right? But we all got to do what? We got to start somewhere, right? We got to start somewhere. So I've been, for the past 14 years, sitting at your grandma and grandpa's and aunties and uncles' table. Every Medicare season, which is typically in the fall. When the ages come around, we review their health coverages. And I make sure that I'm a broker, so I make sure they have the proper coverages for their area, for their age, that they get the most benefits, that they understand Medicare, which is a whole different animal. It is really an issue because it's very difficult to understand. So for the past 14 years, I've been sitting at your tables. And what I realized in the past 14 years is we're not ready. Now, the people that I have been seeing, unfortunately, they don't have 10 more years or 20 more years to give. They've kind of made that leap into retirement already. And if I had a nickel for every time they said to me, Laura, where were you 20 years ago? Where were you 10 years ago? And I was like, I say to myself, somebody might have tried to talk to you then, but you might not have been able to hear it. So what that did was that catapulted me into thinking about how can I better service my clients and their children and their children's children and people in general, churches, as to how to be prepared. Because I'm sure you guys have heard that things in retirement are changing. Retirement looks different, right? Our parents, hey, they may work 25, 30 years at one company, and they come out with a pension, Social Security. It was pretty good. That's a pretty good thing. But now, if you notice, the market is going towards hiring people temporarily, not paying them benefits. Pensions, about only 30% of companies now offer a pension. So the landscape has changed, which means we have to change. We now have to be more cognizant of what we're doing for our future. So the estate planning came about because after sitting at grandma and grandpa and auntie and uncle's table, they're not ready. they don't have the right, even the right protection to do what they need to do what they want to do. So now when I sit down, I always go over the full financial picture. What is it that you're trying to accomplish in your plan, in your financial plan? I can't just look at the money that you're bringing in. You've got a whole bunch of things. You've got your house, you've got your mortgage, you've got your car payment, you've got your disability, you've got your coverages that you need to have. So we look at your full entire picture. I like to tell the story when I first came into this business. I ran into a woman named Miss Smith, and she was 30 years off of her job. She was retired after 30 years. And the job gave her a nice watch. Thank you for your 30 years of service to us. But now Miss Smith was out of the group and she had no other benefits except her Social Security. She retired early and she had not considered even what she was going to do for health benefits. That decision there put her behind an 8 ball because now she had not made it to where Medicare, where they help you with your medical. So that put her whole estate in trouble, basically, because now she has to come up with healthcare premiums, right? Healthcare is more expensive as you age, so she was at the highest cost of premiums. So now she's got to put money aside from that, and her Social Security was not that much. So as an estate planner, I wasn't then, but I am now, I would have liked to meet with her before then. So I'm looking to meet with Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith at 45, 50. At any time when you really see that, hey, I'm going to retire one day. And you are going to have your own thing in place for that. The companies are going to change, things are a bit more volatile, they're changing. So you have to have your own thing in place that you've built while you've been working in your working years that you know you can depend on. I always recommend that people have their own plan. Can anybody say Enron?
Hello.
Enron, right? You want your own plan. The employer should not be in control of everything that you do and every dollar that you make, every dollar that you invest. You have to be in control of some of that. And I understand it may require you to read a little something. An educated consumer is the best, right? I like when I can talk back and forth to someone that's been reading. Oh yeah, I love that. So while I can advise them, at least I'm comfortable that they have some idea about what we're talking about, what they have to do. So that's how my estate retirement planning and financial planning business was started. Just from my sitting at the table with aunties and uncles and grandmas and grandpas. I liken estate planning to a foundation. I like to build a house right now. So we got our foundation, right? You can't build a house without a foundation. Anybody built a house without a foundation? Anybody know of anybody that built a house without a foundation? It doesn't happen, right? Because what is it going to do? You probably won't even get part of it up. It's just going to fall right down. So when you do your estate plan and when you're looking at your full financial picture, you want to have that foundation. And that foundation, guys, is your protection, i.e. your insurance. If you don't have that in place, you're going to have a problem. Anybody remember this song, The Wise Man Built His House Upon the Rock? Anybody ever sing that in Sunday school? The wise man the foolish man built his house upon the sand. And the wise man built his house upon the rock. Well, that foundation is your rock. So when the rain, like the song says, when the rains come down and the floods come up, the house on the rock stands firm. That's because of the foundation. Now we have a family, and sometimes you don't have to die to have a hardship, for your family to have a hardship. You can become disabled. You can just have a bad fall and you're out 3 months, 6 months. That's a significant loss of income for some people, even if they're getting disability coverage. So a death, a disability will have your financial plan. Now we gotta go in our 401k. Now we gotta raid our savings. So those things we were saving for, we're now using. You need that protection to replace that income that you're now losing, that you need to replenish. So if you even have a death, that's a one person gone. That's probably a mother, father, somebody was working. Their income is gone now. What are we going to do? How are we going to maintain? If you're in between jobs and something happens, you should have your own plan that kicks in place. That's not dependent on your employer. So that if you kick your employer to the curb or they kick you to the curb, you are still protected. That's your foundation. As we start building the house, that's your plan for saving. For a lot of us, we're business owners. There are different types of plans out there that I can help you save in. Saving specifically for retirement, saving for rainy days. You have to have a plan for your saving. You get your foundation in order first, because you don't want to have to use your savings for things that happen unexpectedly. Another part I like to bring up to business owners is being properly covered by general liability coverage, so that you don't have, somebody sues you in your business, you have money there so that they are paid through your insurance company and not through your own personal assets. Because people can sue you depending on how you're set up. Sometimes they can sue you, and if you don't have the coverage, they can come after your personal assets. So that's a part of your foundation. That's a part of your protection. And as business owners, we are on our own. We don't have a company maybe giving us benefits. We have to know about that now, and we have to understand that we have to take account of that. Now that we're business owners, we now got to provide our own benefits. To walk around unprotected is to walk around waiting to be sued. Somebody can really just sue you. I'm going to take your question at the end. Write it down. Make sure you don't forget. Another thing I like to say, and this is why I decided on the estate planning, is that it looks at your whole entire picture. Where are you wanting to go? Do you want to sell your home, pick up another mortgage? Do you want to buy investment property? Where do you want to go? Let's sit down and look at everything. How much money you're putting away? How much money can you put away? And your estate plan If you have a house, you have an estate. If you have a car, you have an estate. Everyone has an estate. It's not just for rich people. Everyone has an estate. Now, if you don't have an estate plan, the state has one for you. The state of Florida, the state of Pennsylvania, oh, they've got one for you. Whether it's going to be good for you and your family, now that's the question. So you always want to have your own plan. You don't want to get disabled. You don't want to pass on. And now your assets are not passing on to your family like you want. Who wants to give their families the gift of, I've passed and now everything is in probate because I have not prepared properly? You don't want to do that. I got a story for you guys, and it's personal. My uncle passed in October, and he was a fun uncle, just a fun uncle. And he had said to me, I had gotten him straight on his Medicare and his health insurance, and he was like, Reds, that's what they call me sometimes. I need some life insurance. I was like, okay. So I called him a couple times, and then, you can't be just hassling your family. I'm not going to keep calling you. I'm going to remind you, but I'm not going to run you down. I'm going to, go by your wishes. I'm not going to haggle and hassle you. Well, 2 years later, he dies. And that was this past October that just happened. I did not know that my uncle was as sick as he was. He was in stage 4 cancer. And what happened was he had went to the to get his will and stuff done to the estate planning attorney. So they did groundwork. But he died the next week before he got back to sign the paperwork. So now that left my family in a hard place because now the state has a plan for him. He didn't get his own plan. The state has a plan. So now the siblings have to run around because they're heirs. He didn't have any children. So they're heirs. The siblings have to pay the taxes. Guys, when the death happens, taxes are due. Things do not just pass to your heirs tax-free. Taxes are due. A lot of people don't know that. Taxes are due. If you want to leave your property to your child, you pass on, your child has to pay taxes to get that benefit, to get that house. There are taxes due. This is how a lot of people lose their homes. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people lose their homes because the children are not prepared for the taxes. And depending on the value of the house, it could be significant taxes too. So while you might not mean to, you have to have a plan for your family for taxes to pay that if you want it to transfer to them. I get a lot of times, oh, yeah, I'm leaving my house to my family. They can work it out. Okay, first of all, who knows? Things don't normally sell that fast on the market. I mean, it could be 3 months, could be 6 months, could be a year, depending on where you are. So you want to make sure that your family and that the benefits that you want for your family, for the hard work that you've done, is going to transfer to them properly. Okay, so that's what you want to do, and that is a big thing. And I think that even if you have a small estate, you don't need a big estate. Even if you have just a house, Say you just have your house, your car, maybe some money in your 401k that you haven't used. You don't want the state to get part of that money. You want that to flow to your heirs. And you want it to flow seamlessly. You don't want any problems with it. And even though you're gone, most people do care about that. Most people care about that. So that's all a part of estate planning. That's all a part of that. Looking at your full financial picture and doing and making sure what's happening is what you want to happen. Okay. My goal, as I'm wrapping up, the best way to, first of all, let me say the best way to reach me. At this point in time, my website is being built, but the number way you can reach me is 888-802-0603. That's 888-802-0603. You can also reach me on my email at info@insurance-lady.com. You can also reach me there. So my goal is to get to people way before they retire. I was talking to a young lady out here right at the conference, and I was so excited. She's 32. She's a young woman. I was like, you need to do this, this, and this. And she was like, I didn't know that. She didn't know about the taxes that's due when someone passes. And I felt really good because I dropped something in her spirit. And she's still young, so she's got many years to build properly. But for those of us who are at retirement age, who are past retirement age, who are 45 plus looking at retirement, there's time to look at your plan, make any changes you need to make, and keep it moving. But a lot of us are in kind of good positions. Business owners, we have a little bit more of a challenge because now we are in control of everything. So we really got to make sure we're doing what's right. So my goal is to get business owners to really look at their finances and not just save money, but look at what's the best vehicle, what they want in retirement, what's going to happen, what's the best one for them, and to get in front of people that maybe have regular jobs that's going to be coming out in 15, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, to really look at their plan. Is this really what I want? To really look at how your money shifts in retirement. Okay, I'm not making as much as I was. How do I change my financial plan to reflect that? What do I need to do different so that now I can maintain my same standard of living? That doesn't just happen. That has to be planned for. So that's my goal. Those are my goals. Also speaking to churches and different speaking events because a lot of people don't know about estate planning. They just think it's for rich people. And while we're all rich in spirit, maybe not so much money, we all do have an estate. So we all have something that we want to protect and plan for. With that, I'm going to take some questions. Yes.
All right. My question is, if you are a business owner and you already have an accountant and then you bring a financial planner onto your team, how do we differentiate and not allow the roles to overlap?
The roles to
The
overlap?
roles of our accountant and our financial planner, because a lot of the things I'm hearing you say, I've heard accountants talk about, not necessarily insurance or life insurance and things like that. But I think it'd be helpful for me and probably other business owners to kind of understand that a bit better.
Okay.
So there's a lot of salespeople out there.
Yes, absolutely. So the question is, how do you basically keep the accountant and the financial advisor kind of in check?
Yeah.
Kind of in check and not, okay.
Or not necessarily in check because, when you're in business, we're kind of just we're so busy trying to keep our businesses up and running that we don't think about these resources
Right.
until like somebody tells us this is a resource. So then we're kind of at the mercy of whoever that salesperson is at that point in time.
Okay.
And sometimes they sell themselves as accountants. Sometimes they
Exactly.
sell themselves as financial planners, and then it confuses us.
As
We're
an
not the
accountant,
experts.
as a financial planner,
Yeah.
well, first of all, I would recommend that you're very clear about who you're talking to. That is, you have to understand, like your accountant is your accountant. Your financial advisor, estate planner, now in estate planning, it is, I also work with insurances and things like that, financial advising, but that's a part of what I do. Your insurance agent, most likely they're just looking at one part of your plan. Your financial advisor may only be looking at part of your plan. It kind of depends, but you need to know who you're talking to. So clearly, when you make an appointment, you should know, is this an insurance agent? Is this a financial planner? Is this an accountant where I get my books done? So these three people should be talking to one another about you, about your plan. So it's not, okay, I'm just gonna do this over here in the dark over here with my accountant. I'm gonna do this in the dark over here with my financial advisor. They should be in cahoots with one another for your benefit. Okay, so know who you're talking to. Know who you're talking to. That's hopefully I answered that for you. That's your best question. Your best answer, I should say, to your question.
So is there a legit place for each of them? So can your accountant also be your financial advisor? Your financial advisor can be your accountant though, right? Or could
Okay, can your accountant be your financial advisor or vice versa? Typically everybody plays their lane. Your accountant is who's going to do your books, your taxes. They're going to keep you up and running in your business, your your day-to-day business expenses. They're going to keep you straight on your books. Okay, those things have to be done properly and right. Every business owner should have an accountant, not a tax preparer. An accountant, not a bookkeeper, an accountant. Because did you guys hear what, who was our speaker last night? Darnell. Did you guys hear what Darnell said? Her business exploded. And it was a wonderful thing. But she wasn't set up right for her taxes. She had missed that date. She owed more taxes. You need your accountant for that. I'm not going to do that. That's not my specialty. I don't play in that lane. That's Andrea's specialty. DMP financial specialty. I play the role of looking at your financial picture, your own personal, reviewing your insurance coverages, making sure you're properly covered, reviewing your foundation, making sure your foundation is set. So that if something happens, you're not going to be affected. Your family's not going to be devastated by something like that. So that's where I come in, and that's what I look at. And I can do so many things, but accounting is definitely an accountant's job. Financial advisor is a financial advisor's job. They're most likely not going to be trying to do accounting. If they are, run. Don't do it. Do your individuals, and then have those people talk to one another. Those people can talk to one another. Your financial advisor can talk to your accountant, and they can be on the same page if you so desire.
Do you have a Facebook page?
I do. I'm developing so much, but you can find me at the Insurance Lady. Laura C. Roan. So I'm in the midst of rebranding a lot of things. So the website is being built, the page is being built, but that's just some basic things that I've been doing over the past years. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other questions?
The information you share has been great. I'm sitting here thinking about the different organizations I belong to and saying, how can we get Laura to come and speak in front
Okay,
of
yes,
us?
we can definitely talk about that. We can definitely talk about that, yeah. It is a niche kind of space.
You're from Georgia?
Philadelphia.
Oh, that's not you. I'll find you.
Yeah, I'm on there. Laura C. Brown. I'm on there. Any other questions?
For someone who's in their 30s, what would you recommend in terms of that wealth planning and getting ready and just thinking about, where they want their life to go from the financial advising standpoint?
For someone that's 30 years old, that's the question. What would I recommend for wealth planning? The younger, the better. The younger, the better. It's not all over for older people, but the younger, the better. It has always been, it's just like anytime you save, if you let that money compound and compound and compound over years, the more years you let it compound, the more money you will see. Insurance companies look favorable upon the younger that you are and the healthier that you are. I was telling my friend yesterday that was here that you have the most choices the younger you are. And a lot of times you can get better rates the younger you are. My 14 years of sitting at table with grandma and grandpa and auntie and uncle, they were only able to purchase enough coverage a lot of times just to cover their final expenses. So while they wanted to leave something, a little something, they weren't physically able to financially in their retirement money. So the earlier you are, the better. The younger you are, the better. The more healthier you are, the better. Or today is better than tomorrow. Just because typically the way you are today, it may be better than what you are in the future. So I don't recommend waiting long periods of time. It's always good just to reach out to me. Say, Laura, I want to talk to you. We can do a 15-minute consultation, and we can just talk about basically maybe where you want to go, and then we can decide from there if we're going to do some appointments and do some planning for that. But typically, the younger, the better. Typically, unfortunately, that's how it works. So for people that are older, now is the time. Now is the time. And I like to tell people, don't get upset because you've aged. Don't get upset about it, but do something about it. Don't get upset. We still got to do what we have to do. And so all is not lost. Okay, so that's it. That's it. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and speaking with the audience, and I wish you many blessings. Have a good day.